Hi, my name is Bara Janemi Chelo. I'm the Chief Enablement Officer for Buy Youth. Buy Youth is an AI-enabled crowdfunding and P2P lending platform that is created for youth to close the financial gap. Stay glued to this platform for more exciting projects for you, the youth.
Dun 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 dun.
We're losing content, God. Please hurry up.
I'm already recording the audio. He'll start without the video.
So,
what breed are the ones that are locked up?
The ones that are locked up.
So it's a mixed German Shepherds, but mixed. Yeah.
Those are really intelligent dogs.
Yeah, they are.
This is a big part of why they use that in the police as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big dog person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Back home, I've got 2 Bobos.
Wow.
Pretty aggressive.
That's what I was going to ask.
Pretty aggressive.
I hope.
And those things,
Pretty loyal too.
They're loyal to you. That's good.
Yeah, pretty
The
loyal.
ones we have here, it's actually a mix of Boabos and German Shepherd. Yeah, and we didn't even know the German Shepherd gene was in them until the parents gave birth to these ones, and we just saw the German Shepherd coming out, and like, where is this coming from? Yeah, so we didn't know. It was So I think.
Wait, what did you think they were?
Boabos mixed, but
You
we didn't
didn't
know
know the German Shepherd part of.
No. Yeah.
How long have you had those?
If you
These ones are babies. These ones are like, one is like a year, and the other one is like 9 months or something.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but they're big.
wait, do they? I know Boer Bulls are quite
Yeah.
smart as well, but when you mix them with German Shepherds, do they become like a really smarter breed than each one of them individually, or how does it
Ours
work?
are just naughty,
Yeah, good
to be
question.
honest. They're naughty.
Then
They're
well,
very
could
naughty.
mean they're smart.
Yeah.
You just have sort of nurtured the exactly.
Channel.
You haven't nurtured the
exactly.
intelligence. You haven't
No, we
channeled the
haven't.
intelligence
We
to
haven't.
something
And these ones, we haven't
useful.
even trained them. So it's just the boys who have tried like a bit of training and everything, but we haven't taken them through like a proper training, no.
When you say boys, what do you mean?
Our sons.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones who have been training them.
How many sons have you got?
3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Any girls?
No girls.
All boys?
Oh, boys.
Are you about to say it?
No. What do you think I'm about to say?
No, because you've got a theory about men who only have daughters.
Yes, I have a theory.
Really?
Just like, yes.
And what's the theory?
You don't wanna hear it.
You're a pastor, so you don't want to hear it.
Really?
No. I can just say my theory.
Okay.
Men that only have daughters
Yeah.
is God's way of punishing you because in your past you were
Promiscuous.
very promiscuous. So God
That's
is
his
now
theory.
giving you a daughter
Now, I don't quite
because
understand
now
that theory
you do
because
not
what
want other men to treat your daughter the way you treated other people's daughters.
Get it.
And this man here has got 3.
I've got a son. And even if I gave him a million chances, you wouldn't guess what his name is.
Who, your son?
Yeah.
Is it an English name?
Yeah.
Is it a popular name?
Now it is, yeah.
Now it is?
Now it is, yeah.
Popular in Zambia or all over the world?
In Zambia.
An English popular name in Zambia.
English?
Wait, Sonny.
Yeah.
No! Really?
Named after the boxer, yeah.
What?
Were you also named after the boxer?
No.
So how did your parents come up with that?
Yeah.
So my parents, I am told my grandfather was named Sonny.
My grandfather was called
But
Elson.
I've never met.
I never met my grandfather
Yeah.
either.
My grandpa died, I think, a day or two before I was born, and he left the instruction that I should carry the name.
Which name?
Really?
My name, Kalenga.
Really?
Yeah. So he
Why?
died. Huh?
Why?
Why what?
Why did he want the name?
I think he wanted
Usually
somebody to
when
carry
people,
it on.
they do that. They want the names to be carried.
Oh wait,
yeah.
that's your grandfather's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
Oh
left
wait,
the
so we
instruction.
all were named after our grandparents. Well, grandfathers
Yeah,
to be specific.
Yeah. But the spelling for my grandfather was different.
Was it
How?
with a U?
No, it was Sani.
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 Yeah.
There's a Sani from Zim. He's a singer. That's how you spell it as
Really?
Makalima.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how my grandfather.
And there's
used to
also a car rental company in South Africa called Sani with the same
I
spelling.
think that one is
Really?
with one N though.
Yes, it's one N.
Yeah.
Oh, yours had a double N.
No.
One N.
No, my grandfather was one N.
Yeah, so it's the same.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sani. Just.
And how do you spell yours? SONNY,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But do you ever have those situations where somebody tells you, and especially because you're named after him,
Yeah.
like you've carried over some traits that he had, certain behaviors?
Nobody even knows him. Nobody knew him. Nobody.
To confirm that.
Nobody. Even my father didn't really know his father
How so?
because he died when my father was like 6.
Wow.
So my father doesn't remember anything about his father.
Wow.
No.
My grandfather had a very brutal, I've never really spoken about this, ending to his life.
What happened?
So I'm from Zim. And growing, I didn't have my grandfather. So what happened was during the Chimurenga War, my grandfather was a policeman.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And he married 2 wives. So he was extremely successful. In the area, is the only one that had a vehicle and everything. So
That was such a thing back in the day.
yeah. So what happened is the second wife was not particularly pleased with how he gave the most attention to the first wife,
Okay.
which was my father's mother.
Okay. Okay.
So through that jealousy, she then told the rebels that my husband is a spy for the white men.
What?
So every single time that you people need to fight against the white people, haven't you ever wondered how they already know the information of when you're going to attack? Is because my husband is the spy. So my uncle is the one that then told me this story where one night he didn't come home. And the following morning, as they were going to school, they found his car, like just abandoned in the forest. And they tried to follow the trail because there were broken twigs, and they found his shoes. They kept following the trail, and they began seeing body parts.
Oh no. Body parts.
How they killed him is they would cut off his arm, make him eat his own arm, cut off a leg, make him eat his own leg, up until he died.
You're disturbing the man. I was not going to be able to sleep tonight.
So it was a very, very brutal ending, purely out of jealousy.
What Sonny Zulu? What
crazy.
village are you from?
From Mwanya village, Chief Matuta. It's Lundazi district.
Is that where you grew up from?
No.
Where did you grow up from?
I've never been.
Never been?
No.
I've been to your village twice and you've never
I've
been.
never been. I've never been.
You're scared of the witchcraft there with all
Not
the
at all.
success now?
No. And interestingly, my siblings have been, but I've just never had a chance.
Too busy.
And maybe there's also nobody there at this time.
Oh, yeah. Same
Yeah.
for me,
So if I go there, there might be a cousin, maybe that I've known, but there's basically nobody.
I know you're a man of God,
Wait,
but just
hold
never
on,
go
hold
there.
on, hold on. Pardon our menace. You guys watching rudely interrupted our conversation. I don't know, out of the blue, you just showed up while we're having a discussion. But since you're here now,
What can we do?
we might as well introduce ourselves and our guest. So another Tuesday,
Another sunny day.
another beautiful
Beautiful
episode.
sunny day.
Made possible by our amazing partners,
As you can see on the table.
Big Tree, specifically brothers. It has gotten to a point where when people have their meal, they have to take a photo of them drinking brothers and send to me. So thank you. What's the guy from Zamtel? I forget your name, but you know who you are. Every time you eat, you
sends a photo of him taking
he does.
one.
He did that today.
Today as well?
Yeah, he did that today. He's eating his shrimp. Well, his meal didn't look as good as the brothers, though.
Yeah.
So thank you to Big Tree. Had it not been for you, we would have packed up and gone back to the villages. So we greatly appreciate your support. Today's episode, I have met this man a couple of times before, and one thing that I'll tell you that and I'm not saying that if there's anything that you people have gotten to know me for is I say the truth, whether it's comfortable or not. I say it every single time I have met this guy. He's made time for me. He's been very receptive. He has been very welcoming, even to a point where I know he's in a hurry. He would still make time.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you remember our last interaction?
Yeah,
You remember?
I do.
I've interacted with people in far less influential positions.
But they give you far less attention.
My man, it's almost like you're asking for a kidney. Like, bruh. So I do not think it is by accident that he has gotten to where he's gotten to. I think a lot of his success has been as a result of how gracious he is and his personality. Basically, there's this saying that
It's a long introduction.
Yeah, don't worry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not every day that I
starstruck.
not starstruck. I've been speaking to him for a while, so.
Okay.
Listen, I could have kept the wealth of knowledge that I know from this man to myself, but I felt it was selfish, so I brought him here. There's this saying that your character will take you places. No, your talent will take you places that your character. No, man. That your. Can I finish my saying? You dropped out of college.
It's getting too long. This introduction. As you were.
Do you need a pillow? Do you need to sleep? They say that your talent can take you places that your character cannot sustain you. So you could be talented, but if your character is horrible, you'll not end up as CEO of Standard Bank. So,
Chartered.
Before this man, Standard Chartered, before this man falls asleep, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sonny Zulu.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
CEO, banker, author, is it pastor or reverend?
Yeah, both.
Fuel dealer.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not just any fuel. Don't
Jet
disrespect.
fuel.
Don't disrespect.
Jet fuel.
Mafuta A.
Jet A fuel.
Because when you say fuel dealer, bruh,
it can be diesel.
My man.
In a container.
It could be paraffin. Do we still do paraffin these days?
Speaking of something I picked up from Elson's introduction, something I read in a book recently. I don't know if you agree with this, but I can't remember the book title exactly, but it's talking about how, the structure of any company.
Yeah.
The pyramid structure.
Yeah, sure.
And this guy talks about the higher you go in the pyramid, the nicer the people get. The kinder the people get. Is this true in Standard Chartered as well? Or is it true? Do you believe in that line of thought to start with?
Yeah, look, I think that people are very different. And even the definition of kindness is also very, very different. Even leaders are very different. Think about the presidents that we've had in this country. They're all different. And if one was able to sit down and to describe a leader or even a great leader, many times they will describe them from their perspective. So you have those that are very calm and those that probably are very humble. And you may also have others that are very, very proud and they're upfront. There could be alpha males and each one of them would be successful in their own ways. And that is why, for me, I would never want to look at any one particular person and, say, this is the person that inspires me. And I know it's a very difficult thing to say, but I look at certain characteristics from certain individuals and that say, this inspires me about this person. Because every person, if you were to learn about them and look at them end to end, there will be so many aspects of their lives that may actually disappoint you. And if you focus on that, you may actually walk away and just to say, wow, I don't want to be a Nelson Mandela. Because there's something about Nelson Mandela that is not in the public and might never even be known. And if you have the privilege of knowing that, you begin to have a completely different view about the man.
Absolutely.
So every person is very, very different. And sometimes people choose to share what they would want us to know.
Mm-hmm.
So as you go up the pyramid, there are certain characteristics of people that you might never even know at all.
They say never meet
it's a
your heroes.
facade.
They say never meet your heroes.
Say that again.
They
Never
say
meet your
never meet your
heroes.
heroes.
Yeah. Look,
For specifically what you have just said.
yeah, there are certain things about our heroes that we do not know. So I always talk about this on stage and off stage approach to life. Every time when you go out, you are on stage. Even when you are on the road, you are on stage because there are people who are watching you. There are people who are seeing you. You might not even be able to see them many, many times. I mean, even you guys, right? You'll be shopping around. When you look around, they're all strangers. But guess what? There are people who know you.
True.
So the way you are interacting with a cashier, the way you are interacting with other road users, you're on stage. So people are watching you. And if we all approach life in that way, we will actually be more courteous to others, we'll be more kind to others. But there are also moments when you are backstage. And when you're backstage, now is the real you.
So where's backstage at home?
Backstage can be anywhere.
Your
So
office?
sometimes backstage can actually be in your office. Backstage might not only be you alone. You can actually go backstage with others. Just like, like in a theater. You're on stage. When you're on stage, there's an audience. So you behave in a certain way.
You put up an act.
Exactly. When you go backstage, there you can have your arguments, you can cry, you can, you can begin to think about what went wrong and so on. And that backstage moment is also a very, very important moment. And that can be at home. Back from office, you get back and you're backstage and thinking like, how did the day go today? But the moment you show up, in fact, I say the moment you get out of your bedroom, the moment you get out of your gate, you are on stage.
Doesn't that get exhausting though?
No, not at all. So you have to be natural. So you have to be natural. So you have to be natural. Even when you're on stage, you have to be natural. Because if you're on stage and you're just putting up an act which is not you, it's stressful.
And just in line with that, your crop of business leaders,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about people like you, Komba, Mzinga Melu,
Yeah.
you guys have sort of become celebrities, so to speak. And that's all stemming from, the rise of internet usage, social media. You are like the first crop of CEOs who are actually, or are celebrities, so to speak. You know what I mean? Does that change the way you guys govern as opposed to the people before you? I mean, they're like more you're more visible than the people before you. Has that changed the way you run things now than the people before you?
But then again, sort of to add to that, I don't quite agree with that because there's other CEOs who are in the same industry, but who have deliberately refused. I'll give you Mokwandi, for example.
Yeah, it's not very on social media. Yeah, but my question is more to those who are, like the three I mentioned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're more in the public domain. We see them more on LinkedIn. I see your posts almost every day on LinkedIn. I see you on Instagram. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So has that changed does that affect the way you run things, seeing as you're more in the public eye than the people, other people before you, or those like Chibesa?
Look, there are a few things that probably I may want to highlight that are very critical. And every person, I would encourage them to think about this. Number one, it comes to purpose. We ask ourselves, or I ask myself, why am I here? What am I doing here? And we have to realize that we've got a very, very short life. Extremely short. Even if you live 100 years, that is so short. In the biggest, scheme of things, 100 years is very, very short. Mm-hmm. Because not long from now, every one of us will disappear. I won't be here. You guys won't be here. The guys that are watching out there, they won't be here at all.
There'll be a new crop of people.
And our prime time is also very short. In these 100 years, let's just assume, and I'm taking 100 years, okay? Life expectancy in Zambia is probably, I'm being very generous.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the first part of your life, you're still very, very young, you're developing and everything else. And then you have a time when you are at
in your prime.
peak.
Yeah.
And afterwards, you're too old, and there's very little that you can actually be able to do. The question is, You are here on this planet Earth. What are you doing with that time? What impact are you having?
Making, yeah.
And how are you using what has been given to you as platforms to be able to deliver on the purpose? Because for me, I strongly believe that whatever we have, whether it is money, whether it is resources, whether it is cars, whether it is houses, whether it is titles, all of these are just platforms. At platforms that we have, including that Z podcast is a platform. And the question is, what are we doing with it? If we then say, I am here and I'm standing on this platform to be able to have an impact, to be able to deliver, I am not going to waste that time. Because I know my time is very, very limited. Not only is the time limited, but also we think about it that not everybody will have that opportunity. But everyone is having an impact differently, in different ways, and we will never all be the same. But having said that, it is also very, very important for us as well to be able to realize that technology, yes, has come through. Today, we have an opportunity to reach more people than Jesus reached using technology.
True.
We have an opportunity to speak to millions within that short space of time.
True.
Hey, preach.
Now, with what is given to us, are we doing that for good or for bad? And there are a lot of people, for example, who are very good musicians. What are you doing with that music? I'm not talking about gospel versus secular, no. I'm talking about using that voice to deliver on your purpose, whatever your purpose is. There are a lot of people today who have, because leadership is a privilege. Mm-hmm. So I am not where I am today because I'm smarter than everybody else, because I'm more intelligent, because I'm more qualified than everybody
You could
else.
be, though.
No, I'm not. There are more people who actually probably are more knowledgeable than I am. And therefore, when I see where I am today, I say I am privileged to be where I am. Now, there's a scripture, if you allow me to, to go to the Bible, that says, and David, after he had saved his own generation, he rested with, in fact, let me say it right. And David, after he had saved his own generation, according to God's purpose, he rested with his fathers. After he had served his own generation. This is our generation. What will be said of us at the point when we are resting with our fathers? Will we say we have saved our own generation? Now, there have been so many CEOs before me, and there will be many more after me.
You.
There have been so many other people who have done the jobs that we are doing today. But when you look back, Alson K+, look back, you won't remember everyone that served in those roles. Let us talk about, let's say for Zambia, for instance. Think about the former police inspector generals. There have been so many of them. But guess what? There are a few that you remember.
True.
Why? There's an impact that they made.
True.
Think about the police spokespersons. Even when you ask anyone who is watching here, there are certain names that will just come to your mind like that. And this person served a long time ago, they are gone. Why do we still remember them? It's the same job. But there's an impact that they left. And that impact is not only for them and for their name. No, it is an impact that today is speaking to young girls, to young boys, to young people, giving hope and so on. So this cuts across any profession that you can think of. There are people who were before us. We are here today. There'll be others that come after us. What are we doing with the opportunity that we have today?
They say that people will always remember how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
Maya Angelou.
And the one thing that I have that I've always come to know is that the mind always remembers whatever has emotion attached to it.
Absolutely.
So the minute that you impact people's lives, just like you're saying, is when you begin to make a difference, is how and when people begin to remember you. So there's a lot in what you have just said that has rung true, especially with what we are also doing with this platform.
Absolutely.
Right? We've had over 100 episodes. We've had all kinds of guests, from politicians, CEOs, sports people. Is there anything that, if we are to close the curtains today, that the 7 million views that we've had would walk away saying, I learned the following. Sometime last year, I decided to embark on a mental health podcast series because I've been a very massive advocate for that. And what happened at the back of that is people would walk up to you and say, I was on the verge of suicide. And because of what Naeem Dalal said on the mental health podcast, I began to realize that there was more to life.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's one thing that in the last week or so, I've been trying to resuscitate and speak more to, such that, just like you've said, you are able to see the impact that you've made.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you see, let me talk about this platform, right? So if you look at this platform, you guys can have so many different guests from any field, and you can talk about any subject. But the one thing that will always remain very important, and that should be central, even when you're thinking about, what do we talk about, who do we bring, and everything else, is getting back to your purpose. As in, why are we doing this?
True.
Why are we? Because you can talk about anything. Again, it reminds me, I love this book so much, so I always go back to read. Somewhere in Acts, it talks about, Paul, he had gone out, I think, to Antioch or something. And then the Bible says that, and the whole assembly was in turmoil. Some shouted one thing and some shouted another. But then the next sentence is very critical. It says, and many who were there did not know why they were there. So I can imagine that, there is like a demonstration, and so on. And people have gone out. Some are shouting one thing, the other one's shouting this. But many of them, they were shouting. It's like at campus, right? And now probably there are very few demos, the way we used to call them the time we were at campus. We used to have them more often in our time.
Right.
And sometimes you just come in, let's go. You go outside. You're jumping up and you don't know. Is it housing? Is it...
You just join.
Is it accommodation?
You came from a sales generation.
Yeah. And so you're just jumping there and shouting.
Then you ask later, why are we demonstrating?
Why are we demonstrating?
What are we in the police cell?
Yeah, exactly.
My guy. Why are we doing this?
What are we doing there?
In a cell.
Right.
But you just join in.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what is happening today. A lot of people are just joining the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Even on social media, a lot of people are just joining the bandwagon.
That is so true what you've just said. You can tell that they have got no dog in this fight.
Nothing.
It is this mob. I have always, I have always said this. The intelligence of a mob is inversely proportional to its intelligence.
Yeah.
The more the people you have in the mob, the dumber the decisions they make.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So when you look at social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think...
Let's just say in Zambia.
Yeah. I think we are missing a great opportunity, in my view, to use those platforms productively. I think we should have those platforms, and we should be thinking around, depending again what your purpose is. Should I monetize this? Should I be able to use this to send a message out there? And when you have a following, people are following you. What are they following you for? There are a lot of people today who are being followed, and they're being followed. They've gotten into a position of leadership, because when people are following you, you're actually a leader. But where are you leading these people to? And that is something that it should be very, very, because leadership and management administration, these are two different things. Leadership is about influence. It's about people, getting people to follow you. Now, it reminds me of this popular story of how dogs behave, especially, when you go to the high density, areas, populated areas. You may be driving there. Maybe you guys have experienced that. I think I see
where the story is going.
Where the dog is backing at the car, it's chasing the car, and then the car stops.
And it runs away.
Right.
He doesn't know what to do, right? It was chasing, and it was chasing aggressively.
Right.
Now he has found the car. What do you do? Nothing. and you can see the dog is stuck. He doesn't know what to do because
right.
It was chasing, And if the car begins to move, it begins to chase again.
Right.
Now, a lot of times, you'll find that there are people who are following somebody. They're just following them. But when they find them, they don't know. They don't know even what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know. But they've just been following. So they were getting the excitement just in following. But we also, the ones who are leading, people following us, we should be saying, these people that have amassed, all of these people that are following me, what am I giving them? What is it that they're going to go away with? And it comes back again. I can never say it enough. It comes back again to purpose. And if we are part of the followers, we should then question ourselves. And this is a very big question that we should ask ourselves. Why am I here? Whether you're in church, you should be asking yourself, what am I doing in this place? When everybody is singing, dancing, and everything else, there will always be that one person that will touch the hem of his garments amongst the entire crowd. So when they say, okay, now let's lift up our hands. No, let's do this. Just don't follow the crowd. Always ask yourself, why am I doing this? And when you know your purpose, why do I want to meet? Everybody wants to meet Mizinga Melu. Why do you want to meet Mizinga Melu? It's not just
What are you going to say? What are you going to do?
Then what?
Then what?
Oh, it's a selfie. Let's get a selfie. And then,
And then what after that?
Oh, man, my mom is going to love this episode. I'll make sure she watches this.
So, we spoke yesterday. So now what I want to do is kind of like pause
yeah.
and rewind back to a younger Sonny.
Yeah.
Right. I want us to get to the point where the Sonny that we know today, what led up to who you are today. So as early as you remember from your earliest memory.
Yeah. You know, look, I was brought up in a very big family. So
How big?
we were, my goodness, sometimes we were like 15 at home.
Jesus.
Yeah.
How many of those were like your blood relative siblings? Because I know you even call a cousin a brother, but how many of those were?
Yeah. So at a given time, we were like about, I would say 8, really like siblings.
Yeah.
So I have some half brothers, half sisters,
Oh, right.
but we were all
We don't
together.
do that in Africa.
I know. So we are
Yeah.
all brought up exactly the same. I only discovered later on that I had half brothers and sisters. I thought we are all, from
the same mom,
Yeah,
same dad.
exactly. But and even now, never. In fact, even now they'll be surprised, like, oh, I'm your half brother. I thought, but we never really talked about that. But we're really brought up as one big family, and our parents did a very, very good job to
Of
bring us up in that.
uniting and-
Never. We never knew. We never talked about it. But we were many. So we would be like about 8 plus mom, dad, 10 plus, cousins that we are keeping and so
Yeah.
on. So that in itself really, really helped me to grow my emotional intelligence, because then we're all different. In a family like that, there'll be one who does not want to eat or who has refused to eat because something has happened. There'll be one who will be so intelligent at school, one who is not. There'll be 2 that will be fighting. There'll be that. So that in itself just taught me how to relate with others, how to understand different personalities, and then to appreciate the fact that it is actually not always the environment that makes us who we are. Because I have seen that in the same house, people going to the same schools, same parents, same church, same car, they end up very differently.
Just a quick question based on what you have just said. I would have expected the opposite to have been true, because when you grow up in a family where there's 15 of you in the house, doesn't that then make you feel like you're just blending in and there's just
No attention?
You don't get as much attention because there's so many of you there?
No. To the contrary, at least for me, it gives you the opportunity to see how you can actually be different. And because there are so many of you there, it's wherever there are people, there's also some level of competition that comes in.
Precisely.
Yeah, for various reasons, it just comes in. And then you begin to ask yourself the question, as an example, how can I win favor?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, favor is not given.
It's earned.
It is found.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever you see, even when you go again to the book that I like to read so much, the Bible, every time you say so and so found favor in the eyes of God, found favor in the eyes of the king, found favor in the eyes. So you have to learn how to find favor. And when you learn that, you begin to see that the same people, even the same parents, they're the same, but they'll begin to treat people differently, depending on whether one has found favor or not. Even the teachers, like the lecturers, people say, that lecturer is a sadist. But guess what? There's one student they like. They like. Why do they like this one student?
I hear you were that student.
This one student has learned how to find favor. So you begin to distinguish yourself. You begin to know what really matters. How can I actually be able to navigate through all these complexities? So for me, I think it was a training ground. Growing up in a big family, I learned quite a lot. I made mistakes. I learned how to correct my mistakes. So that was a Sonny, born here in Lusaka. I was born at Charleston Clinic. So sometimes when I'm passing around Charleston Clinic, this is where I was born. Yeah, and I did, the first part of my life were in Avondale, Southend Properties. That's where
The fancy neighborhoods.
Yeah, and then went to the Copper Belt. So there's a bit of copper in me. Yeah,
where in the Copper Belt?
In dollar. So
Nah, that's not very copper.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It is still Kopala.
Chingola is Kopala, yeah.
I know. Anyway, so I started my grade 1 at a very small school. It's called Suburbs Primary School in Ndola. And then I moved to, that time we were in Kansenshi. In fact, when we went to Ndola, we were in Kansenshi. Then moved somewhere in Matakazembe Road. Then went to Itawa. Then I moved to Itawa Primary School. From Itawa Primary School, came back into Lusaka, Charleston Primary School. So that Charleston, actually.
What was your father doing? Because those are quite affluent neighborhoods that you're mentioning there.
So my father was working for BP.
Explains a lot.
So he was working for BP. That's how we went into this aviation fuel business, because he was doing refueling business at the airport for BP. Later on, we bought the assets. Now, that time we had already grown. So came back in Lusaka.
Who's we? When you say we bought the
Family.
assets?
So we bought it as a family.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Charleston Primary, my primary school was at Charleston. It was primary school then. And now I think it's basic school or something. And then I went to Chipata. So Chipata, I did my secondary school. Part of my grade 7, I did it in Chipata, Kanjara Primary School. Then went to Hillside Secondary School. I did my entire secondary school at Hillside. Now it's a girls' school, it was called. And then I came to University of Zambia here.
Why are we moving around so much?
Good question. Again, I am so grateful that I had the opportunity of moving around, because that, I always say, exposure is always far much better than experience.
Absolutely.
Because even when I'm hiring, I would look at somebody who has like 15 years experience, 20 years experience. If they've been at the same place, same things all the time, I'm thinking
there's no exposure
there's
there.
no exposure. So when you do like 2-3 years here, 4 years there, the exposure just makes you grow. It makes you mature quickly and you become more knowledgeable. So so we moved around the country, and that's how I ended up here at uni.
But you still haven't said why you moved around.
My father used to be transferred.
Okay.
Like my dad, same story here.
Yeah, so I probably may want to ask my father why he was being transferred, but I was just following through.
The fuel business, is this
Yeah.
what drove you to study engineering at university?
No. When I went to uni, I didn't go to study engineering at uni.
What was there?
I went to uni with an intent to go and start veterinary medicine, because again, influenced by an uncle who was a vet. And when I reached at university, in those days, not now, so please students don't think about that now, but I went to uni, I found that there was a peer pressure. Everybody wanted to do engineering, people wanted to do medicine. And in those days, people say, "What, you want to be a doctor of animals?" And they'll laugh at it. And I was suddenly thinking,
It disturbed you a lot, eh?
maybe I don't want to do this. So actually, at that time, I was very young. You can imagine I was like, when I was going to uni, I was like, 17 or something.
What?
Yeah. So
So you finished school like 15, 16, somewhere there.
16. Yeah. So
What are you rushing for?
yeah. So then I changed my mind. I said, look, I want to do, at that time I wanted to do medicine. I didn't make it in medicine. I made it in metallurgy, which was another school of mines. And that's how I got into metallurgical engineering. And interestingly, I worked for KCM.
Wait, before you go to KCM, did you go for the toughest course because people are going to call you a wimp if you did veterinary? Because I hear metallurgy is like the most difficult course you can do at
already natural
university.
sciences. So,
Okay.
like, when you go, whether you in those days, maybe things have changed now. I must confess, I haven't been too close to it now. But in those days, when you go in natural sciences, you'd either end up doing medicine, you even, vet, you end up doing engineering, or all these other sciences. You all go first of all in the first year. You're all together, big group at the same time, and then you
NQS.
start. Exactly. So, and then you had to choose like first choice, second choice, and third choice. Yeah. So I ended up in my second choice. And one of the reasons, to be very honest, maybe some students experienced that as well. Hillside at that time, previously it was a basic school, so it had just become, a secondary school.
Yeah.
In my time, I was like the second person to go to university at the school from the time when it became a secondary school. And it academically, I think the school was still developing. And then I went to campus. I was now with people that are coming from the real technical schools, from Hillcrest, from DK.
Yeah.
And these guys had done additional mathematics that I had not
That
done.
was
And
new
now,
to you.
New to me, I was like, what is this double calculus? What is this calculus? What is this? So I was learning that at the time, and it took me a bit of time to be able to catch up. Yeah, by the time I was getting in my second year, now I was like, okay, now let's play. Now let's compete. Yeah,
level
that time I was
playing
like,
field now.
okay, now it's playing field. So second year, I was at my best. I was already doing metallurgy then,
What was your first choice?
medicine.
Oh, you would have been Dr. Sonny.
Yeah.
Zulu.
But
But were you very
so
disappointed
do
if you
that?
didn't make it was because you didn't make it to medicine?
to be honest, I wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, I'm so grateful to God for, because it is an approach that I've had to life that I've taught myself never to have any regrets.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. And it's so bad, right? I'm sure probably my wife will be listening to this at some point. Maybe sometimes, especially early on in our marriage, she'd be asking me like, you know what? This is so big. Why don't you seem concerned? I'm like, yeah, it has happened. It has happened. So I'll tell you what. I can lose my wallet today. I won't be moved at all.
No?
Not at all.
No, I don't believe that.
It will be replaced.
No, what would be replaced?
The wallet.
The wallet, even the
replaceable.
IDs, the whatever,
No,
whatever's
but
in
now
there, even the
right-
documents.
No, I agree with
Yeah.
you, but the inconvenience.
I know,
of
but it has
not-
happened.
No, I hear you.
So how do you reverse that? It has happened. It has happened.
No, it's true, but then you can't really control how you feel in the moment.
You can.
What are you going to change by
In
worrying?
the moment, no. You can then control that
Ask
later
what are you
on.
going to change by worrying?
No, not worrying, disappointed.
And then what?
Well, it's fine, then you deal with it, but the initial disappointment is
I
there.
think yours and my level of resilience are the
It
same.
impairs your judgment. It
Yeah.
impairs. It has happened. It has happened.
No, okay, let me give you the example that I'm
Yeah.
saying. You get into a car accident and you dent your car.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I was going to give that example myself.
Right, so fine, your car is insured
Yeah.
and he's going to get replaced and all that. So 5 minutes from when the accident happens and you calm down, yeah, 100%, then you're going to start thinking rationally. But in the moment, I feel like the minute that you're opening the door to go and look at your dented vehicle, you're going to feel some kind of way.
Look,
So-
it takes practice as well.
As you are opening the door, you tell yourself, this has happened, Sonny, calm down. It has happened.
It
has
could have been
happened,
worse.
It has happened for a reason. And you tell yourself in that very moment. And you see, what we don't see, right, is if we had the whole full picture, we probably wouldn't even worry about anything.
True.
Because probably if you didn't have that accident, you would have ended up attending a board meeting that would have completely finished your career.
Messed up.
So you're prevented from that.
No,
And
but now
somehow
you're
you're not supposed to be in that meeting.
But
So
now-
something happens to
Sonny, but now
stop
you're
you.
just
The
building
dummy-
scenarios in your mind
That
to
I'm
make
saying.
yourself, to make
Exactly.
yourself
That's it,
I
because
do
you
that
don't
so
know.
much as well.
You understand? Because you don't know.
Now, I hear you.
I'm sure you have seen all these stories. Of course, there is all these confirmatory facts that comes afterwards and say, okay, let me give you an example. You're supposed to be on a flight as an example. Something has happened. You missed a flight. You complain. The flight gets, into an accident and everything else and so on. And then you come in and say, oh, yeah. This happened to prevent me from being on that flight. And this. So there are stories like that, but it's not always the case because every flight, I was looking at statistics, probably there's somebody that is left behind and there's no crash, there's no nothing. You know what I mean?
But they were saved from something else.
You never know.
Let me ask you, in line to what you're just saying, are you the kind of person that believes in destiny? That despite the decisions you make, you will end up
where you're supposed to be?
Or B, are you the kind of person that believes that according to the decisions that you make determines where you'll end up?
Okay, so the key word there is decision that you make, okay? So there are things that happen to us that we are in control of, and there are things that happen to us that we are not in control of. So the things that happen to us, where we are making decisions, those decisions will have an impact on where we end up. But the things that happen to us, how we respond to those things will have an impact on where we end up.
I hear you, but still doesn't answer my question. Because there are people that, if they are meant to be president, despite these obstacles and him saying, I will be in the bar every single evening, I will make all these bad decisions. If he was meant to be president, despite the decision that is made, he will end up president regardless.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Look, the decisions we make have got consequences. The other way that I would look at that, and that's why I'm saying the external things. So if you're meant to be president, as an example, despite what anybody else does to try and prevent you from being president, you will be president. So for me, I always say the two people that have got so much control on your destiny, it is God and yourself.
Let me tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, there was this very powerful man in Zimbabwe called Makandiwa.
Yes.
I knew of him, I had never met him.
Mm.
I happened to have been in an office with my friend, and then he came in. Remember, I had never met him. Yeah. So I'll not say the whole story, but we began talking, and he says to me, I see something in you.
Yeah.
And I've told the story on the podcast before, but for your benefit, I'll say it again. He says, I see something in you. And just to confirm that I can see things, I can tell you things about your family. Right. So he proceeds to tell me things about my family. Then he says, what I see in you with the prophecy, do you want me to tell you? I'm like, yeah. Why wouldn't I want to know? So he says, it's not that easy. And tell me if you agree with what he told me. Yeah. He said, I can tell you what's going to happen to you. It's a good thing in about 4 or 5 years from now. But the downside to that is there's only one person that knows what I'm about to tell you, and that is God. So God is telling me to tell you. And the reason God is telling me to tell you is because you don't have a relationship with him. He wants to tell you directly, but because you don't have a relationship, he's asking me to tell you. But now the downside of me telling you is that when I tell you, the devil also now knows. Because at the point that I'm telling you, he's also listening. So if you are meant to be president, for example, and you don't know that you're meant to be president, but God knows it, so God then, through somebody else, says, tell Sonny he's meant to be CEO. The devil might know that Sonny's got so much potential, but doesn't know that we'll end up as CEO. But at the point that you are told, now he listens. And the obstacles that he's going to put in your way for you not to achieve that will double or triple, just so you don't achieve what you're supposed to. So he said, if you want me to tell you, I will. But just know that you are now going to get a lot more obstacles and
resistance.
Resistance for you not to meet what you're supposed to. That's number one. Number two is every prophecy has got a condition. So when I tell you, there's two conditions that God has already told me. Number one is that he wants you to have a relationship with him. The second thing is he says you're not paying your tithes. So if you fulfill those two conditions, this thing will come to pass. And I said, I don't care, tell me. I don't care if he's listening. So he told me.
Yeah.
What was it? And I will not tell you. But what I will tell you though
Yeah.
is
That spoils the whole story now.
no, it's none of your business. So,
Yeah.
but what I will tell you though is it is insane how money started coming in. But the thing that started to happen at home with my sisters, with my parents, loses his job, gets in a car accident, my sister is chucked out of school, you need to pay fees. And the exact amount that you have has to cover that. And guess what you don't do at church at the end of the month? Pay your tithe. And only when you then look back and you're like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
The issues that popped up at home required the exact amount that I had. And it rang true because he then told me, and I know it sounds like fiction right now, but just looking back, I would just chuckle and say, no, it's insane how spiritual a lot of these things are. So I just remember that story when we were talking about the things that are meant to be,
Yeah.
and that will they really happen despite the decisions that you make.
Yeah. So instead of medicine, metallurgy.
Yeah.
So this is how you end up in KCM now.
KCM.
We can pick it up from there.
So yeah. So KCM, I was actually going to KCM when I was still a student. So sometimes I would have like 2-3 months or something like that. Working there, I in my time I managed to, and that is one thing that I look back and I'm so glad that I was able to do. At the time, the plant was not as mechanized as it is today, or automated as much as it is. It was more of like 13 ball mills, and I had to optimize the hydrocyclones.
We'll pretend we know what
did
those
that. Okay, great. So I
No,
did
you
that.
can pretend I know.
Mr. Minor?
I did that. But then I was still thinking, like, is this where I really want to be after? Is this where I want to really stay? What is really my purpose? And I was thinking through that. When I came back from the Copper Belt, I said no. I applied to join one of the NGOs, CRS. I joined CRS. As I was working there, I'd already applied for the bank. And then after about a year at CRS, the bank called me to say, you had applied, for the graduates program. Do you want to come? I said, oh, yeah, yes. So
How old were you at this point? Do you remember?
I was like 20. Wow, how old was I? 23? Yeah,
Okay.
about 23. Yeah, 23, 24, somewhere there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I then went and joined the bank, and I started.
Which bank?
Standard Chartered.
Okay.
I've been with Standard Chartered.
At 24.
Yeah. So this is now I've been with a bank now. Wow. So if I look back, I think I was actually, no, if I calculate right, I was 25 at that time when I was joining the bank. Yeah, because I've been now with the bank like 22 years. Yeah. So
The same bank.
yeah.
So you look at when you're
Wow.
when you're
That's a
in-
lifetime.
Yeah, it is.
when you're employing, you look for people who've been at many. I don't think you've been around that much. CRS, KCM, Stanchard, 22 years.
That's exactly why he's doing that.
Yeah, I'm driving to that point actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I see where you're coming from
Yeah.
when you're employing now.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Would
now.
you have thought at 25 when you joined the bank that you'll be at the helm?
To be honest,
Honesty is always good.
I thought that there was a point when I actually started having ambitions. And not the time when I joined. The time when I joined, I was looking at the branch manager. I was like, wow, I want to be a branch manager.
where I wanna be.
That's where I want to be,
But you're not at a till, were you?
No, I worked in the branch
the
as part
branch.
of my orientation, and I had to do everywhere. I had to go on the till as well. So
Do you
I was
remember which
trained,
branch?
Yeah. Nothing branch.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing branch. So, but then I had to do rotations. I had to go around. And people were, they're very gracious, I must say. Yeah, and you have to be humble. So every time you join any organization, so for me, I was coming in. I was privileged again to know computers, to know office applications. I was very good in Excel. But remember, if you go back 2003, these computers were
very
not
new,
everywhere.
yeah.
So I remember at one time going in the back office, and somebody's trying to teach me the batching checks. So somebody was trying to teach me how to copy, right-click, paste. And they had a long list, like about, I can't remember, 100 and
Different
something.
commands.
And they're doing it one by one. You know, like you go on this cell, you copy, you come to this other cell.
And you had
click
shortcuts.
And I remember this guy very well. So he comes in and tells me, okay, now I'm going for lunch, okay? I want to teach you. So when I come back, I should find that you're finished. This is how you do it. So you come here with a mouse, right click, copy, you come to this other cell, right click, paste. So I was looking at him, I said, oh, okay, all right, no, thank you. Okay, great, no, thanks.
You are
okay,
humble.
I'm going for lunch, okay? I should find that you're finished all of this. I said, okay, fine. I sat there. As you can imagine, right? I did it like in a few seconds. I just, copied the whole thing, brought it this side, and I was done. So, and he delayed going to lunch a little bit. And then he saw me, I was doing something else. So he comes and says, I want you to come and finish it.
I'm done.
I've done it. And then he calls a friend. I know this is, this story looks, it sounds funny today, but it was real in those days. You come and see Kamfanaka.
A work that was supposed to take half an hour. He's done this in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. So how much of people feeling threatened do you think stifles people's growth? So you are working in a branch and you want to be the branch manager. And people have got different personalities. Some would feel threatened to say, oh, so this kid has got too much ambition, now he wants to take my job. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that he does not attain that.
It's your responsibility to make people feel secure and comfortable. So you don't go out there. You don't have to be like a Joseph who was so naive and just say, you know what, my father and my mother will be bowing to me. My brothers, you know what are they going to do? They're going to throw you in the pit, right? So, and some of the dreams, you don't have to tell your dreams to everybody else. And to be very honest, even you're actually doubting. You don't just show up there and say, I've come here, I want to be a branch manager. You don't. You may have that dream, you have it inside, it's your prayer point, something that you're working on. And sometimes you don't even know yourself because you're looking at, there's so many layers, to get up there. So I think for me, when I went into the branch, I may have had ambitions, but I knew that there was a lot of learning to be done. And also, there are people who have gone ahead of us. It is for us to make them comfortable, to learn from them. And their time to move will come. And you don't have to push anybody out at all. You take advantage of the time that you have with the people that are there. You are genuinely learning. And you know that, and you should never be desperate. The one thing that I always advise myself and advise others as well, never be desperate at all. When you're desperate, you end up making mistakes.
True.
Even in the area of marriage, never be desperate. If you're desperate, you end up with the wrong person.
This is true.
You know you have it, you keep it on your mind, and you're saying, look, I know I want to get married, I'll meet the right person, but never at all get into a position where you are desperate.
Preach, brother.
And things will come.
Amen.
So,
he's taking his time to get married. I think
this podcast is not about me, sir. So I asked, hold on.
Okay,
I asked AI.
Yeah.
I said, tell me about Sonny Zulu.
Yeah.
Do you think AI could give me enough information about you?
It may ask you which Sonny Zulu.
It didn't.
Or it can pick from your book, maybe?
It didn't. So
Really?
I'll tell you what it said.
Yeah.
Sonny Zulu is a prominent Zambian banker and business leader, currently serving as CEO and managing director of Standard Chartered Bank in Zambia. He's had a long career with Standard Chartered Bank,
Yeah.
as you have confessed, having joined the bank in 2003.
Yeah. Correct.
And he's held various positions and roles, including head of retail banking in Zambia and Southern Africa.
Correct.
As head of retail and strategy transformation for Africa, Middle East, based in Dubai.
That's correct.
True so far?
Yeah.
Were you in Dubai?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Beyond banking, Son is an entrepreneur and co-owner of Air Mafuta Aviation Services, a company that supplies aviation fuel to local and international clients. He holds an MBA from Manchester Business School and a degree from, I do not know how to pronounce this, in mineral processing from the University of Zambia.
Yeah.
Good so far?
Good so far.
All right. Under his leadership, Standard Chartered has focused on digital banking, significantly increasing the number of accounts and open despite operating in fewer branches. I really want to speak to you about this.
Yeah.
Because that was a really bold move.
Yeah.
He's also emphasized on client-centric banking solutions and has been recognized among the top 25 African finance leaders by African Leadership magazine for his contribution to the financial sector. Is this true?
That's true.
A whole magazine?
Yeah.
Yarr, look at you. Lastly, Sonny is known for his leadership philosophy, emphasizing on hard work, relationship building, and embracing digital transformation in banking. Is also in astronomy, or enjoys astronomy, natural history, and traveling. Has it lied?
Everything is right.
Astronomy, though.
Yeah.
I bet you'd really love to have been. Have you heard that there's astronauts that have been stuck? I think almost a year now that have been stuck in space. You heard about those?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have loved to have been stuck up there?
I'd want to go there, but not to stay there.
No, that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
I'm very adventurous, but that's.
But not to stay there.
You see
No,
what-
you can't. No. I think
But you know you can do that now, right?
You see, also there's certain experiences that you. I'm very adventurous. Okay, so I've gone scuba diving.
I've done that.
I don't want to do that forever. You know, I want to go there. Yes, enjoy the thrill of doing the scuba diving. I come out. Yes, I have
Skydiving.
done skydiving.
Yeah, me too. Where did you do your skydiving?
In Dubai. Yeah.
Oh, the view must have been amazing.
Yeah,
I did mine in
exactly.
Durban.
So over the palm, and yeah, very nice views. But you do that, and I'm thinking about it. Sonny, do you want to be doing this every day? No. So there's certain things just tick. Like, okay,
No,
you've
of
done
course,
this.
absolutely. Because when you do it the second time, it is not like the first.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
The
I
thrill is
still
gone, yeah.
Exactly.
remember to this day the feeling I had. Did they shut off your plane when you're about to jump off?
Yeah.
They did shut off your plane,
Yeah.
right? I still remember down to the detail.
Yeah.
Was it a tandem jump?
Tandem.
It was
Yeah.
a tandem, right?
Yeah.
I remember down to the detail.
Yeah.
How I felt.
Absolutely.
When you do it the second time, it is like, oh, so now you want me to put my other foot out, right? Yeah, I know.
I'm talking about that, and maybe bring another topic to this is really confronting your fears. Many times we have fears about so many different things. And for me, I learned a lot about confronting your fears through that. And one of the things that I did was before going to do my skydiving, I had to do a lot of reading, a lot of watching of videos just
too.
to keep myself comfortable.
Yeah, I did that as well.
I'll have to see what are the safety measures that are there and everything else and so on. And in the morning, then I was able to say, okay, there's one statement that somebody said, like, you know what? You are probably much more at risk during your trip, the road trip from
To your, yeah.
from home to the skydiving venue
Than
when
the
you're
actual-
And I said, okay, yeah, that's true. So, and this message probably should also be able to speak to the fears that people have, either on, getting married,
Starting a business.
yeah, starting a business, investing in something. You have to confront those fears because you're saying to yourself, listen, something can go wrong here, yes, but what about if it goes right?
Bingo.
And what are some of the things that have actually gone wrong? And because you have thought through them, you will be able to confront that fear and you have the boldness to be able to stand. Even when it comes to stopping work and maybe you want to completely stop work and start a business, speak to people who have done it.
Yeah.
Go and sit down with them, just ask them, go through, and it will help you. It doesn't mean that you make the decision there and then, but at least you'll be well informed. You will know that if I'm stepping into this area, I have heard people who have done it.
Let me ask you a question. And I mean, speaking to you at length now is lighting up so many light bulbs in my head. I feel one of the greatest contributions that you have is your ability to change people's lives by exposing their potential.
How did you know that?
I'm talking to you now.
Absolutely. Spot on.
And yeah, it's just, as you're talking, I'm doing a lot of self-introspection. You had a conversation with my business partner when you're on a flight. Her name is Mara Michello. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
You say to Mara, why aren't we doing business together? She told you about an organization called By Youth.
Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do. I'm trying to figure out exactly what the conversation was, but I remember.
Since then, Mara and I, we sat And just like you've said, there's a lot of what if this fails, what if this succeeds, where we needed to get 1 million youths in Zambia
Yeah.
access to finance,
Yeah.
and those that are unbankable to be banked. And it has taken shape. And way before you and I started talking,
Wow.
she's made reference to that conversation that you
Wow.
had with her on a flight.
Wow.
So in us then sitting down and formulating this, it was at the back of the conversation that you had.
Wow.
You might not remember it, but you've made a significant impact.
Yeah.
And when, not if,
Yeah.
this comes to fruition and we do get
Yeah.
1 million members,
Yeah.
that is where the seed was.
Awesome.
So just remember that name, Buy Youth. We've already had the buy-in from the UNDP.
Yeah.
They'll be paying salaries for it.
That's awesome.
We've had a buy-in from 2 ministries already.
Yeah.
And hopefully from you soon.
No, but thank you. Thank you so much. Look, what you have said is actually, you're the very first person that has just picked that one up without asking what my purpose is. Because every time I talk about purpose, people say, what's your purpose? What's your purpose? And everything else and so on. Those who have asked have been able to share that. And for me, that's why I'm here. And that is why I do what I do. I believe that everything else that comes my way, they are just vehicles to use to deliver on that purpose. This is what drives me. This is what causes me to do all the things that I'm at the bank today. It is not just to make money. I'm at the bank. The bank has given me a platform. The bank is what has helped me to go and speak to young people in Malaysia, in Thailand, in different parts of India, in Vietnam. I would have never thought about going to those places ever. So one of the questions that somebody asked me was, Sonny, you say your business is doing well, it is cash rich. Why are you still working? Why are you at the bank? And for me, I'm not at the bank just to make money. If I wanted to make money, I would have been doing something else and I've been making the money that I wanted to make. But I'm at the bank because the bank is giving me the platform to be able to reach to many more people. Obviously, I have to deliver for the bank because, I can't just be there to be able to carry out my agenda.
You got shareholders and
I am
responsibilities.
in partnership with the bank. The bank is my employer. I have to recognize that. I have to deliver dividends for shareholders. But at the same time, it's giving me the platform to be able to serve my purpose. And for all of us, every single one of us, what God does is He puts us in certain places and positions us to be able to deliver our purpose. Look at Moses. It was not by chance that Moses was in Pharaoh's house. It wasn't. It was actually his purpose. Even before he was born. Remember, they were killing the young boys and everything else at the time when But Moses was spared. Not only was he spared, but strategically, he was placed in Pharaoh's house, grew up in Pharaoh's house, knew and got educated in the language of the Egyptians, and knew how Pharaoh's house operates. And guess what? It was in preparation for him to come and deliver the children of Israel. Esther is exactly the same. It was not by the chance that Esther was a niece to Mordecai, who ends up being, close to the king and goes and pleads for the Jews, and the Jews are let go. So all of this, it is for a purpose. Daniel, Nehemiah, every single one of them. So all of this, nothing happens by accident. So for all of us, wherever we are, if you're working in the palace, whatever the palace is, there's a reason why in that palace it's not just to wash the dishes. No, you can be washing dishes, but you have got access to what many other people do not have access to.
Yeah.
That company that one is working on, that university that one is teaching at, and you are seeing students every single day. What is the purpose of meeting those students? Why have you been given that platform of speaking to students every day? And if you are genuinely looking at delivering, genuinely looking at helping, serving your purpose, you are not, first of all, going to abuse. You're not going to take advantage and use it for your own, gain. But you will say, I'm here to serve. And you will do it with so much grace. Now, there can be a lot of manipulation that happens. Even from the pulpit, there's a lot of manipulation that happens. And unfortunately so, religion can brainwash people. And a lot of people, especially in the church, they can be so brainwashed and follow anything and everything that they're being taught to do. And unfortunately, there are a lot of con men that have taken advantage of that. Because in religion, when people say, do this, everybody's doing that. And that is a part where, again, each and every one of us, when you come back to your purpose, you have to question. There should be no fear in asking, what am I doing here? Am I agreeing with what I'm being told? Is this actually right?
Don't be sheep.
No. If you have to step out, step out. If it's not making sense, it's not making sense. And you have to go back again to check whether it is making sense. But for us who have got the privilege of standing before people, we should never abuse that opportunity. We should actually take it with so much grace and say, I am here. Whatever platform, even you guys. I mean, you guys have got such a huge following. The platform that you have, always get back and to say, God, you have given us this platform. All these followers, all these people are listening here. What do we want actually to leave behind? What do we want actually? Because once you're in a position of leadership, people are hearing you. Even one comment that you make, you don't know who is hearing. And if it is life destroying, you don't know which life you can actually destroy there. So we have to be very careful what you say.
Speaking of
Just hold
service and
can you just give me that?
while he brings it. Speaking of, you've brought in the issue of religion.
Yeah.
And I know is it deacon elder at your church?
A reverend.
Reverend, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Ngamelo goes to the same church, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay, that aside. I'd like to understand more your religious history. Where does that come in? Were you born in a very strong Christian home, or did you pick this up somewhere at some point in your life? Can we dwell on that for just a little bit?
And Mr. Zulu, there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Thank
this
you.
is for you from our good friends
Thank
and
you
brothers.
so much. Let me receive it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Wow. Thank you so much. Great. Truly appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. We don't give this to everybody.
Oh, I feel so special. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. So to Kalinga's question.
Yeah. So look, first of all, I know we talk about religion, but I always categorically say that I'm not religious. I don't even encourage anybody to be religious. I encourage people to have a relationship with God, because being religious is just what it is. And there can be so many people who can be religious, but they have no relationship with God at all. When I was young, my elder sister and then my siblings introduced me to church, and then my parents, we all started going. But then I was just going there, as in the family goes to church and I go to church. Yeah, and until I became of age, I think when I was about 12 years, I started questioning, and I started looking at what is this relationship? Yeah, so I finally gave my life to Christ when I was about 13 years old, and then the journey started. But I was still very young, so I was still trying to navigate through learning and so on. And the time I was getting into uni, I was very, very much, involved in my relationship with God. But that is now. There's nothing more. There's no any other way to live. For me, that has become my
lifestyle.
Life. Yeah, and when it comes to serving as a pastor, I was appointed as an elder in the church a long time ago, and for me, I always look at being an elder. Actually, as an elder, you're actually a shepherd. As an elder, you're actually serving as a pastor. As an elder, and sometimes we look at elders. If you look at the Bible, actually, you'll find more of elders, the elders of the church. You'll probably find pastor mentioned once, depending on which version, maybe twice, but once. And it wasn't something that I was looking forward to. I must mention that, in fact, when I was approached to say, we want to induct you as a pastor, I said no. And I said no because I just felt that the title had been diluted, and there was a lot of negativity around, the term, because of, again, so many people who have abused the title, and I just didn't want. I told my wife, and she also said, "What, Pastor? No, no." But then I wanted to do the work because the work had to be done. The work, there was no question about it. The work had to be done, but I didn't want to do it with the title. But then a few things were explained to me why it was important for me to accept that induction. And when I understood, I looked at it from different angles. Then I accepted. I was inducted as a pastor. But not only that, I made sure I'd already started, by the way, my studies. So I think I didn't tell you about, some of the other qualifications. So yes, talked about a degree in metallurgy, but I had to do another bachelor's degree in ministry and another bachelor's degree in theology. So that is something that I think serves so many purposes. One, knowledge is very, very important, but also for credibility as well. If you're standing before people, there has to be that credibility. You're not just going there and say, because there's a lot that you learn and you're able to put into context. Otherwise, there's a lot of misinterpretation of scripture. There's a lot, and that happens quite a lot. Sometimes you find somebody's talking about something, no cultural context, and leading people in a certain direction. So studying it's very, very helpful. And how do that?
How would you describe your style of preaching?
Well, I think my approach should probably be better described by people that listen to that. I will say more because remember, every one of us, and this is quite an interesting point, not only when it comes to preaching, but anything else. I always say there are three speeches that we all give. There are three preachers that we all give. Whether it's a speech, whether it's a speech, whether it is a presentation, there are always three. There is what you wanted to say, what you thought you said,
and what you should have said,
and what you actually said.
Oh, okay, sure.
And the three are very different. So before you go on stage, there's what you intend to, you have prepared and everything else. This is what I intend to say. And afterwards, there's actually what you thought you said. And if you're self-critical or you actually analyze, you actually go back and think, you know what, I should have said that. Oh, I missed out that. No, maybe I said that. And sometimes you actually think that you are saying Jacob, but you are saying Job throughout.
Yeah.
And you have no clue. You actually, and you keep it on repeating. And sometimes the people are looking at you in their hearts, they're saying Job.
Right.
And you're saying Joseph. In their hearts, they're saying. So those are two different speeches.
Yeah.
But there's also what you actually said.
I brought that up because there are three pastors I love listening to, and each of them has like a different style of preaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll talk about Joel Osteen, who's more on the motivational side of things.
Yeah.
And he will hardly quote any scripture even when he's preaching. He will not even ask the congregation to turn to any book. He will speak the whole time, the whole 20 minutes that he preaches.
Sure.
Then there's one of my other favorites, Stephen Furtick.
Yeah.
Who, yes, will refer to scripture almost every 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Very energized,
Yeah.
and he wants to create a clear picture of the scriptures that he's preaching
Sure.
about. Then there's T.D. Jakes, who's a storyteller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wanted to understand what category you'd put yourself in.
Well, he hasn't told us the story about Diddy, though, and the parties.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, are you laughing because you know about it? Because I would be surprised.
About the social media stories and everything
I
else.
hope you don't know anything about it.
It's
I've
all
heard
over
the stories.
Elson, come
I
on.
think it's public, right? It's there. I mean, we may never know what is true, what is not true,
No.
but the stories, the stories are out there on social media. Yeah, look, I think my approach for me it is I take the time when I'm standing before people very, very seriously. I have to search from God. What does God actually want me to say? Not what I want to say, but what does God want me to say? And there are different approaches. I don't think that is right or wrong. And even when it comes to preaching, there are people who are teachers. They actually come in and they teach you. And when you're teaching, it's different from typically preaching.
Miles Monroe, my other favorite.
So I don't know how I can be able to explain this. Let me try to use mathematics as an example.
As an engineer?
Yeah. So if I come here, right, and say, 2 + 2, I'm going to lose you. You'll be like, And I can be so emotional about it. I can, because this and this, and I can be dramatic. I can do all of that and everything else. But there are certain moments when that might be required, and that might be required in a different if you go to a crusade, you can't go to a crusade and start teaching. No, the crusaders come in, the atmosphere is very different, and it requires the same thing if you go to the stadium. I mean, if you find me speaking at Africa Must Think, this stadium is packed with thousands of people. And Misani was telling me now he's looking at 100,000 people or so. You don't go there and you start teaching. People are going to be bored. You're going to lose them because the environment, that has to be charged. That has to be, and has to be a lot of energy. But again, you don't go and you're speaking to people who actually want to learn, and you're speaking as if it is a crusade. No, so for me, I look at the environment, I look at the audience, and I'll say what is actually required and what method, should be applied to be able to deliver the outcome that we intend to have. So it's very, very different depending on the time and the place.
Elson, when you were reading his profile from AI, you brought up an issue about the branches, stand chart, and you said you're going to bring it up?
Yeah, so I want to switch gears a little. You guys decided to close up all the branches. In fact, you guys packed up and left Zim altogether.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of have an understanding of the switch that you guys decided to do, because that was a very bold move.
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit more about that and why you decided to take the route that you guys took.
Fantastic. Look, I think that when you look at Standard Chartered, I think Standard Chartered Bank, and I'm saying this not because I'm with a bank, but even just from analyzing the bank and the approach from many years back. If you look at most of the markets here, like in Zambia, it was the first bank, okay? And again, there's a bit of history to that, because remember when Standard Chartered Bank was here in 1906, it wasn't Standard Chartered Bank, it was here at Standard Bank, because, it was later on when we had the Chartered Bank and the Standard Bank coming together to form Standard Chartered Bank. And even in South Africa at that time, it was still a Standard Bank. And it was only during the time of apartheid and everything else, then the bank that had come together decided to sell off their interest in South Africa. And South Africa started operating as Standard Bank, completely detached from Standard Chartered Bank. And Standard Chartered Bank then continued. So Standard Chartered Bank has been here, if we're counting our history, it goes back to 1906. But the one thing that the bank has been doing is it's been very, very bold and very innovative. There are a few things that I talk about, and some of them I talk about them lightly, to say Standard Chartered Bank had the first working ATMs in the country. The reason why I say the first working ATMs, because there was some ATMs that were put there
that didn't work.
They had not switched them on yet. So they were in the walls, but they had not switched them on.
Right.
So the bank came in, switched them on. But doing that, there was a lot of work just getting clients to go and use the ATMs. In fact, we are getting a lot of backlash because people were now, social media was not as it is today, but people are telling us, these ATMs you have brought, you're going to take away people's jobs. What are these? What is the Bank of Zambia talking about? Saying about these machines that are going to take away people's jobs. What's the government saying? But that's the price you pay by being the first mover. And we had to do a lot of work going to tell clients it's okay to use the ATM. And in fact, we even employed people, we are calling them service ambassadors, that would actually get a client, let's go to the ATM to go and help them just to know without seeing their PIN, but just to help them to say it is safe to use this machine. Then we had ATMs everywhere, and it became a norm. And people became so comfortable with ATMs. When we introduced the first Visa cards, because we did, people were still very uncomfortable with using a card to go and pay in a supermarket. And you know what used to happen? And I've gone through this because I've been, in this industry for a long time. People would go outside, even just here at Manda here in Game. People will go by the ATM that is outside that they're comfortable with now, withdraw cash, then go inside to go and pay with a cash. And when you say, no, just go with a card, you'd go, no.
I don't even remember the last time I used cash, eh?
Exactly.
I
so
use cards
people were
now.
withdrawing cash and then they go and use. But now people have become more comfortable with the with the cards. And now we are no longer talking about that. When digital banking started, again, it was exactly the same. Even when extended banking hours started, there were a lot of that conversations, what can the bank operate up to 20 hours? What about this? And so on and so forth. Now, with digital, we introduced end-to-end account opening, 100% digital. Completely, no paper, no nothing. And accounts are being opened as we are speaking. Accounts get opened on Sundays. They get opened in Chadiza, in Kawambwa, in anywhere as long as there's internet. And I'm talking about now. Those accounts are getting opened digitally, end to end.
24/7.
24/7.
At midnight, I can open an account with
At
Standard Chartered.
midnight, you can open an account with Standard Chartered.
Are we seeing a situation where you will eventually have no branches at all because everything's going to be online?
Not only Standard Chartered. That is coming across.
NetBank does that in SA, right?
Yeah, so I was about to bring up
That is coming across.
Time Bank, Capitec.
Yeah.
Capitec, not NetBank.
They don't have any
Branches.
Any
Sole
branches.
online, yeah.
So reason why when we touched on this, I say it very bold of you because there's that old saying: the first cowboys get the arrows.
Yeah.
If you're the first to do something, you're gonna have a lot of people have opinions. You're
Absolutely.
gonna have a lot of people stand back to watch if this works or if it doesn't work. We have sadly been in an economy where people love to speak to other people, right? You want to walk into a branch, you want to speak to a teller, you want to make sure when you're handing your money, you're handing it to a person, as though that is any different to putting it into an ATM. So the fact that you guys decided to take this. One thing that I also want to find out is, was this a group decision? Because markets are different. Was this something that you felt Zambia particularly needed? And if it works in Zambia, is it obvious that it would work in, I don't know, say Somalia, for example, if you guys are in Somalia?
Okay, I'll tell you what. First of all, it was a bank decision. And for us, we actually here in Zambia, we felt it was coming rather late. From a bank perspective, we're actually saying this is coming so late because we had started this digital account opening end to end in other markets and we were waiting for it to come in. So when we got it, we actually got it. If I look at I would say we got that in phase 3 of the rollout. So it was between phase 2 and phase 3. If I look across the group, it was phase 3 of the rolling out. And because we had already seen the results in other markets, we were very confident that it was going to work here. Now, I will always say this, and I always confess that when it comes to closing the branches, I think that process was done far much quicker, far much in terms of the pace. Maybe it would have been spread out, right. Maybe gradually, but it was done almost like within a very short time. So there was a bit of chaos when that was happening. And that we admit. We look at that and say, you know what? If we look back, we think maybe
we could have done this differently.
We should have done that differently. But were we still going to make the decision?
Of course.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And what is the result? Alson, if you go and look at the results today, you look at our balance sheet. The balance sheet has grown with 3 branches far much more than the way it was growing with 24 branches.
So what do you say about banks, like the red banks that we know that keep churning out branches every single day? What do you think about that model?
Look, it is different models, different strategies. And also, in my view, I would say that we also have to acknowledge that this will not happen overnight.
Of course.
It will not happen overnight. We'll be able, and that's the reason why even now we have had to bring in the agency banking and everything else, because we know that there's still some cash transactions that are happening there and so forth and so on. But if you ask me to say directionally, where are we seeing this going? There is no question about it that digital is the way to go. And everybody, there will be no bank today that will not be talking about digital and accelerating their digital agenda. I can tell you that for sure. There will be no bank today. And if you look at the convenience that brings, in the past when you're traveling, you'd have to go and get a cash. You have to do what? a lot of people who are traveling today, you don't do that, right? You have a trip tomorrow, you just pack your bag, you go there. You don't need to, because you know this works. Wherever you arrive, even if you're going to need cash there, first pay by card. But even if you're going to need cash, you're still going to, you can be able to withdraw whatever cash that you want at any particular time. But more importantly, if we look at the number of accounts, we are talking about banking, the unbanked. Today with digital, we have actually brought in more people into the banking system than before. We are opening like 4 to 5 times more accounts using the digital platforms than the number of accounts that we were opening going on the face-to-face.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think you are a lot more aggressive now? Wouldn't you have felt that when you guys had more presence all over the country, you had more touch points, hence you'd have reached more people to open more accounts?
It's the convenience. So today, like Kepler said, right, you can be in your home and you open. Now, some of these places, Elson, it takes a trip to go to the bank. And I'm talking about in Zambia today. Mm-hmm. There are some places where one has to actually plan. It will be a day's trip. They go in the morning to go and find where a banking branch is, and you go back, you're arriving in the evening. When it's payday, you actually have to plan. Now, with that kind of experience, not only in those, far places, including here. Imagine you are staying in Avondale and you want to come to town or to Mandahi or to whatever. First of all, you have to think about the traffic. Then you have to go and think about where you're going to park. Then you have to go and think about going to queue up. Then you have to think about unwinding that whole thing for you to be able to get back to the place where you started from. How much time have you wasted? You probably wasted more than an hour or two or more. So if one can be able to bring convenience such that you can be able to do that from anywhere, I can tell you, there's something that I wanted to buy from someone, and they told me to say, you know what, bring cash. I said, no, I don't deal with cash. Tell me a bank account because I want this to be traceable. Cash, why do you want me to pay you cash? I can't go and I stopped dealing in cash to withdraw and I bring a bag of money, open an account. And this was outside of the city. Says, no, my account was blocked and everything else. I said, no. Open a Standard Chartered bank account. I'm only telling you Standard Chartered, not because I'm a Standard Chartered, but because I know you can open an account from here. And Kepler's exactly to your exact question earlier, say, can I do it now? I said, yeah, you can do it now. Account opened. Without moving, this is in rural Lusaka. Account opened, transaction done.
So let me ask you.
Sorry,
okay, go ahead.
Just one. Just in line with what you just said right now. Convenience. I was watching. Have you seen the BlackBerry movie on Netflix?
No.
What do you? Okay, we'll come back to your leisure time a little later. So I was watching the BlackBerry movie this morning. Yeah. And it got me thinking, especially about Stanchart, because I knew we were going to have this conversation today. Yeah. So BlackBerry was ahead of the curve in putting internet in the phone. People were able to have the emails. They were so ahead of the curve. Yeah. They brought these things to market quicker than anybody had done at the time. But then they lost because innovation then slowed down. Yeah. Right. And that got me thinking about Stanchart. Yes, you are innovating. You've brought that. People can open accounts on the internet any time of the day. But enter the new kid on the block, mobile money, which I think a lot of us have found even more convenient because I can do more at any time. Yeah. And also, let me call it the barrier to entry. Yeah. Is close to zero. I just need a SIM card. Sure. Even getting a loan, I just need to have my NRC number on that and I can get a loan as opposed to the processes in a bank. Absolutely. Does that new kid on the block intimidate you in the banking sector in any way? Mobile money.
So mobile money for us they are partners.
Because you can move money from your money to your bank.
I know.
I can tell you, for now, it would have been very challenging for us to offer the services that we are offering today without mobile money. Okay. And we have proactively gone out there to integrate with the mobile money service providers. Let me give some examples. We have a lot of our clients that used to come to withdraw cash in briefcases and trunks to go and make payments to field officers out there, and that was very, very risky. I remember when I was working for an NGO myself, even before I joined the bank, we went through that. And now when I'm thinking about it, I said, what was that? Imagine you're in a Land Cruiser, you've got so much cash, and you are going out on the road. It's very risky. You only need somebody to tip off here and there. Don't even do it. And our clients were going through that. But today, because of mobile money coming in, they've stopped. But what do we do? How do we help our clients? So we've got a platform that we call Straight to Bank. On Straight to Bank, you at a click of the button, as long as you have got your beneficiaries, you've got their names, you've got their mobile numbers loaded there, at a click of the button, you have paid everyone. All that cash withdrawing and everything else is gone. And that is such a convenience. You can pay 5,000 beneficiaries. Done in one go.
The bulk disbursement.
But
Absolutely.
At the beginning, did you ever see it as a threat, though? Mobile money.
Look, I think I would say we discuss those in our boardrooms. What is this mobile money?
Right.
What does it actually mean? How is it actually going to work? Is it a threat? And so on. So those conversations, any business person, you need to have them. It's something new that has come in on the market. You need to. And then we said, look, this is the way to go, and we cannot do without having mobile money. How do we actually partner? And very quickly, we started doing all these, integrating, doing bank to wallet to bank and everything else. And by the end of the day,
everyone wins.
Let me ask, where does that money in the mobile wallet sit? It sits with the banks.
Yeah.
There has to be a trust account.
There has to be a trust account.
There has to be a trust account.
But so here's my question. And again, half the time I'm based in SA.
Yeah.
And there's a running joke.
Yeah.
That if you bank with Capitec, you must not like your time. Because I've never been to a mall and seen a Capitec ATM without at the very least 10 people queuing there. Does this not then create more and more people queuing up at ATMs because that is the only other service point that they have to the bank?
But let me first ask the question, right? I'll answer, but let me ask, what are they doing at the ATM?
So I see where your question is going. And let me lead this by saying, you're preaching to the choir. Okay. I am one of the few people that support what you're doing.
Yeah.
I believe we do not need banks. Yeah. We don't need branches.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Everything can be done online.
Yeah.
Right? I've been saying this for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, the direction where India is taking, where they are trying to get people to move away from cash.
Yeah.
So if you can purchase anything from your bus to your tomatoes to whatever it is, if you are able to do that digitally, that is where we need to go to. So if we're able to shift the mindset of people to move away from, I need to have the cash in my pocket for me to know that I have got money. So it's a mindset issue. But up until we get there, you're still going to get people that would prefer to hold cash, to have cash. So to answer your question, people would then feel, okay, so because there's no branch, I have to go to an ATM because I have to get cash for whatever reasons that they need to.
Yeah.
The educational process of getting people to move away from cash is king kind of thing is what we strive to then achieve over the next couple of months or years.
You're absolutely right. So, and I must admit, we still have a bit of work to be done. And, as Standard Chartered, and I'll say all the banks, because, we discussed this at the Bankers Association, we will all be participating in the Financial Literacy Week. And this particular one will be quite interesting because we've got a new family of notes coming out. And we have quite a lot more to talk about. Right now, as we speak, because the launch will be happening on the 31st of March. But as we speak today, a lot of, corporate clients are complaining, you know what, we don't have the smaller denominations, we don't, they're missing, we're not able to give change and so forth and so on. And that question always comes up to say, why don't we pay digitally? Then you don't have to. If you go in a supermarket today, your change is, say, 9 kwacha or whatever, they don't have that. And what do they end up doing? They look for a sweet or something, they give it to you, which you never intended to buy.
Right.
But if you are paying digitally, all of that completely, disappears. You don't need to talk about that. So there is an education process that we need to, to just all contribute to help people to know. And this is also a bit cultural as well, because I know that even when it comes to churches, at one time I remember very early on when we started talking about paying your tithes and your offerings digitally. Some people were like, no, I actually need to bring in. But slowly that is beginning to change. So if, for example, the church that I'm leading, we make it clear all the time to say, look, it's not that you have to be seen by people. It's not that by you, standing, that's when you have given.
Right.
No. Here are the details. You can actually, and in fact, by giving digitally, you're actually making our work much easier because there's no counting that is required.
Right.
There'll be nobody who need to go with a basket or something
Just a total there.
to go and deposit. Everything is done.
Should tithes always go to the church, though?
Yeah. Running out of time, we might want to wind up. Before we switch to tithing, as we're still speaking about banks, I did hear a rumor that you guys are looking to sell.
It's not actually a rumor.
Because I got a bit of money saved up. How much you want?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope we are not too late.
Because I hear our good friends in Nigeria made you guys an offer.
Okay, look, we announced on the 27th of November our intention to explore the sale of our wealth and retail banking business in Botswana, Zambia, and Uganda. And that is public, and we had to issue some cautionary statements as well because we are publicly listed. And that process has started. Mm-hmm. And I must say that there has been a lot of interest, and it is a good thing because, you see, investors, they look at return on the investment.
Of course.
And that is what is critical. I know sometimes, and I know this, right? In the market, sometimes we look at just the profit and say, how much was the profit? But we're not really looking at what is the return on the investment
that you spent.
And that is the mathematics that we need to do. So Standard Chartered Bank remains a very, very attractive investment, and there's been quite a lot of interest, and that is ongoing. We have not, at this point as I'm speaking, there is not a single one bidder or buyer that has been selected. We are in the process. So the process, just to give a bit of insight, we have to get some non-binding bids that we get, and then after we go through the non-binding bids, we shortlist from there. Then we give more information so that people now can make binding bids. Mm-hmm. So we're at the stage where we are receiving the non-binding bids, and once we finish that, we'll be giving more information, and we expect that this whole process to be completed maybe by next year, probably second half of next year, mm-hmm. towards, or, if there are any delays. We don't expect any delays, to be very honest. But if at all there will be any delays, it will be 2027 early or something like that. But I think by H2 2026, we should be completing that process. But there's also, the migration process that we need to do. One thing that we have been very clear on is whoever will be coming to buy, they should take care of our clients and they should take care of our staff.
Of course.
That we are not going to compromise. So we are not in a hurry. So there's nothing like we are under pressure. We just have to. No. Look, the bank is profitable. The bank is doing well. So not under pressure. And we ensure that we have the best outcomes for our clients and our staff.
Can I make a prophecy of who I think is going to acquire the bank?
I wouldn't say no. I would say please don't.
So
please don't.
Okay, cool. I'm just going to ask one or two last questions. Well,
yeah,
questions, and then so Dubai versus Zambia. Is there one thing that Zambia is doing better than Dubai, and one thing that Dubai is doing better than Zambia?
One thing that Zambia
Just
is
one.
doing better than Dubai, I would say it is the. Okay, let me first ask: is it from any angle?
Any angle.
Okay, I think relationships. In terms of from the time that I came back here, every weekend there's something that is happening. I'm more closer to family, more closer to friends, and so on because. There's a wedding, there's something happening, there's a launch, there's what. So I think that as human beings, we actually need. In Dubai, it's very different. It's very commercial. You know, you go out, it's just you, your family, and, you know, and I had, to be honest, on the other side, I had so much free time because then no weddings, no kitchen parties, no whatever, and so on. Yeah, you know, so.
But that is because you don't really have family in Dubai. So it's not really that, it's an advantage that it's something that Zambia is doing better.
But it is how the market is operating. So you're right. So it's not like it's by choice. It's by default. It's by default.
And the other way?
Yeah. On the other side, it's just a convenience.
Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness. Dubai,
2 in the morning.
anything you need at any time. You can be cooking at 2 in the morning. You run out of spices. You order. Somebody will bring and they'll give it to you.
So, let me tell you. There's one of very few airports. Because, you know, like, some of us when we were younger, we used to love to show off our passport stamps to people at Bryce.
Yeah.
Dubai became one of the very few airports that would not stamp your passport.
Yeah.
Imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise the last time that I was there. So I've been there a couple of times. You go through the scanner.
Yeah.
Scans your face.
Yeah.
And I am waiting around for the immigration officer to come through.
No, there's no one.
And like, no, bro, you're done.
Yeah.
Get your bag and leave.
Yeah.
Like, huh?
Yeah. That convenience, I think we can learn quite a lot, including just getting our economy to be a 24-hour economy.
Absolutely.
Zambia sleeps. And this is, you know, especially we're still developing. We have to deal with security in our country. To make people feel safe to be able to do business at any given time. This thing of working from 8 to 5, and you know, you work, right? You know, there are certain times you want to take your suit to the laundry. After 6, there's nobody. Everyone has closed, and they'll tell you, no, you come and pick. No, let's just run an economy that is going to help us. And we have to deal with crime as well. Obviously, it was one thing, but it adds up. What Dubai has done is they're very tough on crime, extremely tough. And because they're tough on crime, they've made the place safer.
Absolutely.
We have to be tough on crime. This, you know, process of people going in, they're out, you know, you don't even know their chances. You might be in, you might be out, it doesn't really work. People have to know that in this country, if you do anything like this, there's zero tolerance. And what I've seen, countries that have done that, people behave themselves. Even those who misbehave in their own countries, the moment they land in Singapore, the moment they land in Dubai, they change. Because they know that here people are serious.
Are stiff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just like I was saying, corruption, these guys have leaned heavy on technology. I've got a friend of mine that has moved. He lived in Zambia.
Yeah.
He's from Croatia. He's moved to Dubai. He's one of a team of people that created a platform that... is it the prince or the king in Dubai? Who's right at the top of the government?
The king.
The king.
Yeah. The sheikh, we call him the sheikh.
Right. So what they do is when they give tasks or targets to their ministers.
Yeah.
So Sonny is the minister of ICT.
Yeah.
Your target is that you're supposed to generate $1 billion in revenue. You're supposed to create X amount of new opportunities for employment, etc. That's what your target is for the first quarter. What appears to the sheikh at the end of each week at the app is what the KPI is. So you as the minister, you've got people that are under you.
Yeah.
So you basically break down what your KPI is to the people that are under you.
Yeah.
As these are being closed, it automatically updates the app so that Sonny,
Yeah.
the minister, is able to see it at the end of the week, at the end of the month, without the sheikh calling Sonny, is able to see it on the app that we've given this guy a KPI of 1 billion. The quarter is up, and he's only done half that. So you can only make so many excuses before your track record shows that you've been right. So, and it makes recommendations that based off how this person has not been performing, we do not foresee that this person will be able to meet their targets, and they might want to be replaced. So it gets to a point where the appointment of people is purely based off their work ethic, and without the responsible authorities actually calling you to say you're slacking, the system already shows. So I really wish more of these things are implemented to hold people accountable.
Absolutely. And one of the things that will help us on the journey to do that, in this country, we need to implement the digital ID.
Absolutely.
It is long overdue. Right now, I can tell you that we are wasting quite a lot of money by doing things manually that we could have saved if we just invested in the digital ID. And I am very, very optimistic that, we, before probably even the next census, because we're talking about census, you know that if we had a digital ID, interconnected, there's no census required to be done.
I'm smiling because I literally had this conversation yesterday with a gentleman called Donovan Gray.
Yeah.
He is implementing this in Botswana.
Yeah.
He gave this pitch to the Zambian government to do digital IDs and biometric facial recognition. So wherever you need any authentication,
Absolutely.
It could be at a hospital, it could be anywhere, all that is already in the system. So I absolutely agree with you that we need to harness technology. Before you go, one last thing that I have in mind, and I think you're already going to say no to this. We did this with Liapambewe. Do you have one person in your life? I want to play a little game. Do you have one person in your life who you think is so reliable that regardless of what they're doing right now, if you do call them and you're in an emergency, they'll stop what they're doing and they'll come to you?
Of course.
Apart from your wife.
Apart from my wife. Why did you remove my wife from there?
Is she here?
She's just gone out. I've just seen her going out. I think she's gone for a run.
So, but does she know you're shooting a podcast?
She does.
So she can't work. Give me somebody else.
Okay, somebody that I can give you.
Yes, who's very reliable. If you're in an emergency, they'll stop whatever they're doing and come to you.
I actually
Just
have
one
quite
person.
a number.
Just one. Just think of one person.
Like now, my brother.
Your brother. Is he in Lusaka?
He is.
Okay, cool. I might think of a scenario, but I want you to think of a scenario where we're going to call your brother right now. We come up with a scenario. That will make him stop whatever he's doing and say, okay, I'm coming there.
I don't want to scare him, though.
No, it doesn't have to be anything scary, like I'm in an accident, because then that's just cruel.
What scenario can you come up with?
Anybody else, you're free to come up with anything, but here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, tell me.
I want something which is totally out of character for you. That you'll have a minute to doubt. Who handles the church finance at your church?
There's a treasurer there, yeah.
So do you ever handle the church finance?
No. I don't.
Does he know this?
My brother?
Yes, that you don't handle the church finance.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, anyway, I want us to try it regardless. I want you to call your brother, and I want you to say to your brother that you had the church collection or offering. I want you to help me think of how this money...
Go on. I'm thinking of how to add on to that.
Of how this money might have gone missing, or how you might have spent the money. But then again, he's got money to replace it.
And the brother too.
No, okay. I want the brother. I wanted to get to a point where whatever the brother is doing right now, he'll say, "Okay, I'm gonna bring you 20,000." So, what would he need 20,000 for?
No,
I
think. Look, probably the scenario that we can create is, I need him to come and pick up something to deliver urgently.
Does he usually do that though?
No.
Okay.
To pick up something to deliver urgently.
Yeah.
But something like what? What would be so urgent for him to stop what he's doing? No, I know.
Yeah.
You got stopped by the police. You were speeding. You do not have your wallet with you. And they will not let you go because they need 10 pin.
That one is he won't, because I've got my phone, remember?
No, but then there's no way you are going to
There's no
send
internet?
money to the police.
System is down.
Why? My phone is there.
The system is down.
Yeah, so what are you going to do with the phone?
I'll do
Mobile money. No, the system
but
is
my
down.
point
Network is down.
But yes, but my point is, what police officer is going to be dumb enough to say, wire me money so that there's proof of corruption? So they don't want that. They want cash. So I need you to bring cash to me now. They will not let me go.
Okay, let's see. Let's think quick, because that won't be believable. I can tell you, because I've got, like, you know what?
You've got all the options in the world.
You know what? I'll tell you something, right? I don't know whether I should. It's
Okay, I'll give you another one.
I'll tell you. Let me talk about the police.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this very, very transparently and openly.
Mm-hmm.
The police would easily trust me. So if I say,
Oh, okay, cool.
you understand? They'll say,
Yeah,
okay, you'll come back.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Okay, I have another one. I have another one.
I'm sorry to say it, but that's the reality.
I hear you.
This
Yeah,
is
true.
too upright for your games, bro.
I hear you. I have another one. You've gone to ShopRite,
Yeah.
a Pinnacle mall.
Yeah.
You accidentally walked out with something you didn't pay for, and so now they're holding you.
I'll tell you, Elson, the money one will not work.
The money was-
Okay, what are you going to say,
The
Bob?
money one will not work.
It's urgent.
I'm short of money.
Okay, fine. We get it. The money
No,
won't
money will not work. I'm so sorry. Money will not work.
Okay, we can link to what you've just said, that he needs to deliver something urgently.
Sorry?
Yeah.
You say what? You say, what do you think about that?
Something like that would work.
That you're stuck somewhere, you've got a flat,
Yeah.
and you urgently need to, I don't know, get home. So you need him to come and help you change the tire.
Not that. Let's say, I want something that he would know I wouldn't, because things like that, again.
You can call a driver.
There's so many.
And he's always
Yeah.
the driver. You were driven in.
So there will be, but if I say something to do, like, for example, with family,
He would run.
like my son, that he knows that I wouldn't easily call, I wouldn't trust anybody easily on that. So if I said I need my son to be picked up very, very
There's
urgently,
no one else to do
and
it.
There's nobody else to do it.
Okay, for that, I'll give you 60 seconds. You have to convince him within 60 seconds.
So I need to call, right?
Yeah, you can need to call. Just put it on speaker and to your microphone.
Let's see how this works. Let's see how this works.
Because the minute that you bring in your son, and if this guy is going to...
But the challenge
through?
is, I don't know, because it will be a bit out of character if because
I want to
I
see if he
am
will
too
question you.
considerate.
Where's my timer? Well, Gob, just run your timer. And put 60 seconds on it.
Let's try this. Let's see.
Okay, I've got the stopwatch here. When he picks
One
up, I'll begin
second.
to...
I'm gonna put it on speaker, right?
Yeah.
That sounded like a beer. Is that a beer?
No, it is not.
Okay, I was about to
It
say.
is brothers.
Okay.
We don't... Okay. When he picks up, I'll start the timer. 60 seconds. Imagine if he doesn't pick up. And then he calls him back later.
Hey, Uncle Aki, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Okay, good. Where are you?
At the office.
Yeah, the office. Okay, good. What time are you planning to finish?
Actually, I am done. I was just waiting for...
I need something quite urgent. Are you able to come home?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Please just come home. If you can come just now, that would be great. I need you to help me with something with Joe.
Hello?
Yeah, I need you to help me with something with Joe. How many minutes do you think it would take you to get here?
Okay, let me see, because I don't have a car. I may need to book.
How many minutes?
But let me see. I'm not so sure about the traffic. I don't know.
That
Maybe
guy ain't
30,
coming.
No, you ain't
How many
coming.
minutes?
maybe 30. I'm
30
not
minutes.
very sure.
Okay, see you in 30. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.
You need to call him back and tell him this was a prank. But Jesus Christ, this guy took way too long to commit to him.
No, he was calculating the traffic, guys.
Yo!
Calculating the traffic. In his defense.
Well, but at least he agreed in the end.
Yeah.
At least he agreed in the end.
He agreed in the end.
Let me tell you what happened. You know Liapa, right?
Yeah.
So she called the husband and she said that she got stopped by the police.
Yeah.
And she needed that, and she didn't have a license.
Yeah.
And she needed the husband to go and pick up the license from home and
then back.
Wait, didn't he yell saying, "Why were you speeding?"
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Well, he basically
goodness.
said, "Fine, I'll go and get your license. Where is it?"
Okay. Before he starts closing up at the office,
call
let me
him.
just tell
Yeah,
him
just
that.
call him and
While
say,
we
"No,
close
no."
up.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming through. We really appreciate that. And this is really special.
Awesome.
For me, what has been most special about my day is you came in and you mentioned my name. And I
Yeah.
thought, I don't know why I thought you didn't know me.
Hi, Uncle Lucky.
Hi.
No, you don't have to come, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I was on that Z podcast, so they just wanted me to call you.
We are so sorry we had to do this to you, Lucky.
Sorry?
We're so sorry we had to do this to you. We are on the podcast, so we had just asked Sonny to do this.
It was just a prank.
You are a great brother, sir.
They just wanted to see whether you would respond.
Okay.
All right, all the best.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You know, I was saying that because
He speaks so softly.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I was saying I was shocked that you called me
Yeah.
out by name when you came through because I didn't think a man of your
No,
caliber
but you
actually
see-
watches
no,
the
no, but
podcast.
But
you have to
did
know
I tell
people.
you about this guy and how gracious he is?
No, but
No, I was sure. I didn't think he watches the podcast and would know me. You know what I mean?
no, but
Day and age.
I think it's probably something that I would say for anybody to be successful, you have to invest in knowing people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to.
Wow, that's a good place to end.
That's one thing
Yeah.
that I've always tried to do.
Yeah.
Is know the right people.
Exactly. And you have to be informed. You have to. So certain times you may not comment on everything, but especially with the work that I do, both at the bank and at
And
the
at the
church
church.
as well, there's no way that I can be ignorant.
Yeah.
I have to invest in that. I should bring myself to a level where we can have a conversation on any topic.
True.
Yeah.
This has been incredible.
It's been incredible.
More
Anytime.
power to you and bless you. Thank you so much for agreeing to
thank
do
you.
this.
Thank you.
Again, plenty of people in your position wouldn't have. I hope you enjoyed
I did.
yourself here.
And please
Ready?
tell Ms. Ingamelo there's nothing to fear about this podcast.
She doesn't really fear it.
I'll
I
tell
know
her.
she would call her postponing every time we
Yeah.
call her to the podcast.
Really?
No, she hasn't really postponed. I've dropped the ball on that.
Ah,
it's
there
you.
you go.
Yes, it is me.
There you go.
I've dropped the ball on that.
But you've made me feel like she refuses to come.
I never said that.
You made me feel like she refuses to come.
No.
Okay.
You felt the way you wanted to feel. This has got nothing to do with me.
Okay.
Sir.
I think after this she'll come through now. Because after she watches
Of
this episode.
course she would.
Yeah.
They go to the same church.
Of course.
They will speak about this on Sunday.
Or probably he'll preach about it even.
And thanks. Thank you.
Zulu,
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so
absolutely
much.
welcome. That's
Yeah.
all from Kaling and myself and our good friends, the brothers.
Thank you.
Do let us know what you think about each and every single
Okay,
one of
good.
those flavors.
I'll do.
Please keep hitting the subscribe button. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers.
Just like 18,000 away.
Yes, it's very attainable. And if we keep doing this, if you're watching this right now, before you have an opinion on the way that I talk, please see if you've hit subscribe. If you have and you have an opinion on me, I promise I'll take it seriously. If you've got an opinion on me and you haven't hit the subscriber button, well,
There we go.
And I've got a question for you guys before you close.
yes, sir.
Right.
Let me start with Kalina. Why do you do this?
Why do I do this?
Yeah.
For me, it's deeply rooted in passion. Yeah, I've been in the media industry for what, 20 something years now. Yeah, I was on radio for so many years, did a bit of TV, and this is still me and my passion. Yeah, I love the microphone and I love doing what I do. Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Me too. My background is IT. I'm a software developer. Tawan will most likely tell you the first privately owned radio station that opened up in Zim, I went there, worked for free because I had an idea of how I wanted things to sound. Moved to Belgium. I was introduced to podcasts. And one thing that I wanted to do was create a platform where you are able to make a difference. And I have said this so many times. Kalinga Gob and Virgin here will tell you that the one thing that really has disturbed me is the fact that people have got the internet, not people, the youth have the internet, but it is what they do with it. When I look at the average 20-year-old in Zambia, and you look at the average 20-year-old in Asia, with the same gadget and the same internet, but what they're doing with it is totally different. In Zambia, they are happy to partake in gossip and all that. And this has shown by the kind of guests and that if I can bring a guest to the podcast, the caliber of the guest that I would want to bring on the podcast, the type of things that I would want to speak about. Can you walk away from that episode having have learned 1, 2, 3, 4 things? So this has opened up so many doors, and at the back of that, I've managed to start my own brands that I'm able to use this platform. I've just told you about Buy Youth, where we now need to get youth access to funding, access to capital, start their own business, and have people begin to mentor them. We have people like Blue Seke on the board. So without this podcast, it would have been extremely difficult to have achieved that. Mampi has said that she would help in terms of advocating, and again, she would not have taken me seriously if we didn't have this platform. So this has been something that has sort of kind of helped me in terms of reach as many people as I can.
Good. Awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Until next Tuesday.
Have a lovely day.
Nice. Awesome. Woo! No, it didn't. But 2 hours.